There are secrets that powerful men take to their graves, and then there are secrets so big that even death couldn't keep them buried. It was the spring of 1962. The most powerful man in the world was John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 35th President of the United States. Young, charming, married to one of the most elegant women alive, and he was obsessed with Marilyn Monroe, not admiring her from a distance, not a casual Hollywood flirtation. Obsessed. But here's what nobody talks about. This wasn't just a scandal. This was dangerous. Because Marilyn Monroe, by the spring of 1962, knew things. Things she had no business knowing. Things that, in the wrong hands, could have brought down a presidency. Maybe more than a presidency. Let's go back to the beginning. They first met in the mid-1950s, long before Kennedy was president, long before Marilyn was the most famous woman in the world. They moved in the same circles. Hollywood money, East Coast power. The kind of rooms where senators shook hands with studio executives and nobody talked about what was said. She noticed him. He noticed her. But nothing happened. Not yet. By 1960, everything had changed. Kennedy was president. Marilyn was at the absolute peak of her fame, and the distance between them, the careful, plausible distance, was beginning to collapse. Phone calls started. Late at night. The kind of calls that weren't logged. The kind that happened through intermediaries, through back channels, through the people around them who knew how to make things disappear. Peter Lawford, Kennedy's brother-in-law, a Hollywood actor, became the bridge between them. The fixer. The man who made the meetings happen and made sure no one talked about them afterward. At least, that was the plan. By early 1962, they were meeting regularly. Marilyn told close friends she was in love. Not infatuated, not starstruck. In love. She believed, and this is the part that breaks your heart, she believed it was mutual. She believed that Kennedy's marriage was ending. She believed that she, Norma Jeane from the orphanage, the girl nobody wanted, was going to become the First Lady of the United States. She told people this. She wrote it in her diary. She said his name out loud in rooms where she should have stayed silent. And that was when things started to go wrong. Because John Kennedy, whatever he felt, whatever those late-night calls meant to him, was first and foremost a politician. And Marilyn Monroe was becoming a liability. She was unstable, his advisors told him. She was indiscreet. She was talking. And if she kept talking, if even a fraction of what she knew became public, the Kennedy presidency would not survive it. The calls stopped, suddenly, completely. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. She tried to reach him. She called the White House, directly. She left messages that were never returned. She called Bobby Kennedy, the Attorney General, the President's younger brother, begging for answers. Begging for someone to just tell her what had happened. Bobby Kennedy took the calls. And then something strange happened. Bobby Kennedy, who had come into her life as his brother's messenger, began coming to see her himself. What happened between Bobby Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe is one of the most disputed questions in American history. Some say he was sent to manage her, to calm her down, to convince her to stay quiet. Some say it became something more. Some say both things are true. What is not disputed, what every serious biographer agrees on, is this. By the summer of 1962, Marilyn Monroe was in possession of information about the Kennedy family that powerful people very much did not want made public, and she was angry enough to use it. She had a red diary. She called it her Book of Secrets. People who saw it said it contained names, dates, conversations, things she had been told, things that were never meant to be told to anyone, information about Cuba, about the CIA, about operations so sensitive that even today, decades later, the full files remain classified. Marilyn Monroe, the blonde in the white dress, the woman the world thought was just a symbol, just a face, just a body, had been sitting in rooms where the real decisions were made, and she had been paying attention. In July 1962, Bobby Kennedy came to see her one last time. What was said in that room, no one knows for certain. What we know is that Marilyn left that meeting devastated. She called friends afterward, barely coherent. She said she had been used, discarded, that the Kennedys had taken everything they wanted from her and thrown her away like she was nothing, like she was still that girl, the one nobody came back for. On August 4th, 1962, just weeks after that final meeting, Marilyn Monroe was found dead. She was 36 years old. The official cause of death, probable suicide, acute barbiturate poisoning. But the questions started almost immediately. The timeline didn't add up. The phone records from that night records that should have existed were missing. Her housekeeper changed her story multiple times. The doctor who certified her death waited hours before calling the police. And the red diary, the Book of Secrets, was never found. To this day, no one knows where it is. Some say it was destroyed that night. Some say it was taken by people who knew exactly what it contained. Some say it still exists locked away somewhere in the hands of someone who understands exactly how much damage it could do. Here is what I believe. Marilyn Monroe was not just a victim of fame. She was not destroyed by Hollywood, or by the pills, or by the loneliness, though all of those things were real. She was destroyed by proximity to power. She got too close to the most powerful men in the world. She learned things she wasn't supposed to know. She felt things she wasn't supposed to feel. And when she became inconvenient, she was removed from the equation. Whether by her own hand or someone else's, we may never know for certain. But here is what we do know. The most desired woman in the world died alone on a Saturday night. The President of the United States was never publicly connected to her death. The diary was never found. And 50 years later, the files are still classified. Some secrets are too dangerous to tell, and some women know too much to be allowed to live. Subscribe, because next week we go to the last night of her life. The phone calls, the visitors, the silence that followed, the night she died.